Simon sir, good morning. Can you hear me? Hello.
Can you hear me? Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, how are you, sir? Anil here.
All well, all well.
Okay.
I can't see you though.
Yeah, we'll switch on.
There
I
you
hope
are.
you can see me. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see you. I can see you.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I think we can start the session. We will start with an introduction, sir.
Okay.
Dignitaries in the dais, faculties, and friends. A warm good morning to all. The Society of Naval Architecture Students, SNAS, is a student body by the students of Department of Ship Technology. It is responsible for nurturing students with things outside of the book by conducting various webinars like this. Today, we have Mr. Anil Jacob, the head of Fleet Performance BSM. Now, it's my honor to invite Mr. Anil Jacob to lead us to the webinar on the topic Future Trends in Ship Management, Digitalization and Decarbonization. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I am just looking at the menu and checking how shall I share my screen. It looks like it's a new menu
Sir,
for
there
me.
is one share
Okay.
screen
Yeah,
option.
yeah, I'm getting it. Yeah. Just let me know when you can see.
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in, and thanks for this wonderful opportunity. Good morning, Simon sir. I was not aware that you would be also part of the seminar. It's an honor to have you in a seminar that I'm presenting. And good morning to everyone else in the audience. So I'll just give a brief introduction about myself. I'm Anil Jacob. I'm the head of fleet performance in BSM, which is Bernard Schulte Ship Management. Our department is Fleet Performance Center. We are in the smart city in a building which is called as Marriott's House. Marriott's being our sister entity, which is a software company for, making all available software solutions for the maritime industry. About me, I've done my mechanical engineering, and then afterwards I went for the graduate marine engineering course in Cochin shipyard. After which I had sailed with companies like Shipping Corporation of India, Maersk Tankers, and with Bahari Ship Management. I sailed for almost like 17 years till 2018. I left sea when I was a chief engineer. Then in the same company, Bahari Ship Management, I was in the Dubai office as a technical superintendent and also a senior technical superintendent. Before coming back to Mumbai to work for my ex-company, which was Maersk Tankers, as a vessel performance manager. And then almost like I was there for 15 months before I got this opportunity in BSM 2 years back. So it's been 2 years in this company. I joined as a Fleet Performance Center manager, and now I'm heading the Fleet Performance Center. I am responsible for the performance of all the ships that we manage for our owners. We also have a ownership wing. We almost have 80 vessels that we own. So that's about myself. So I'll go into the presentation. My idea is, and my assumption is that you have some basic knowledge about the ship naval architecture and stuff like that. So my idea is to basically give you a commercial side of shipping. What are the new trends which are happening in shipping? Shipping, of course, is in a decade where a lot of changes are happening. It's not the conventional shipping that used to happen the last 4 or 5 decades, or a decade which I was part of. But now we hear a lot about digitalization and decarbonization. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to let you know what is coming up in shipping, what is that the shipping industry is basically looking at. So my presentation is mostly into some basics of shipping. After that, I go into the digitalization, decarbonization, a little bit about the company, and then also what we do. I would sincerely request that you can stop me at any point of time, even if you have doubts. And at the end also, we anyway have a Q&A session. I'll try to answer to the best of my abilities and the knowledge that I have gained through the years of experience, both sailing and onshore. So thank you. So basically, the shipping industry, the overview of the shipping industry, as you know, is the term shipping as such, which is the act of sending cargo by ship. It's emerged in the English language in the late 15th century. And it was not until the 1590s that the term also meant ships generally or collectively. And as you know, it is responsible for the transportation of 90% of the world trade. And it's the most cheapest form of transport. So obviously we can imagine that it's kind of sustainable. It will be there for a long time to go because it's the most cheapest mode of transporting goods from one location to another. And obviously because of that, it is the lifeblood of the world economy, because most of the trade happens through that. There are over 50,000 merchant ships trading internationally, transporting every kind of cargo. And the world fleet is registered in over 150 nations and manned by over 1 million seafarers. So you can imagine so many ships, so many people working on board the ships. Really competent people. I have always taken pride of being a seafarer myself because it takes a lot of courage to be on board, be sailing across the seas, and also getting a lot of knowledge. For each and every promotion that you have to pass through a lot of exams. So it's been a great journey, and being a seafarer, that's something which I always pride myself with. And coming back to merchant ships, they generate $500 billion worth of business. See, these are some statistics that you will always get from Google as well. So what are the main entities which are involved in shipping? So you have a ship owner, you have also what is called as a charterer, a ship manager, and a broker. So in simple terms, we can understand that the ship owner is the owner of the asset. So you own the ship means it is your property. And the charterer is someone who hires it for carrying cargo from one place to another. So it's just like, let's say, renting a car. So you own the car, but it's used by someone else. But its day-to-day operations are managed by what is called the ship manager. So it manages the ship for the ship owner on a day-to-day basis, runs the ship, ensures that it's run safely from one port to another. So that's where a ship manager comes in. And a broker is, okay, it's something which is not commonly used, but it's basically an agent kind of, which is connecting the charter and the owner to ensure that there is business happening. So basically the shipping entity or merchant shipping itself is a business. And the business happens between an agreement which is between the charterer and the owner of a ship. So just into a detail, I've just covered this. So a ship owner can be an individual organization who owns a merchant ship that are registered under their name. They are normally the members of a regional chamber of shipping or international chamber of shipping. These are all entities where ship owners have entities, managers also have their own association. So normally this is what we have in shipping, a lot of associations and entities and organizations. And ICS is responsible for all the regulatory and operational issues to do with shipping. Charterer who wants to rent a ship either to transport the cargo or passengers is called as a charterer. The cargo may or may not belong to the charterer. The charterer may be transporting it on behalf of a different party. And it might take the vessel on lease and re-rent it to another party for the transport of cargo or passengers for a profit. So you can imagine this as that he does not own the ship, but is basically renting the ship so that he can transport his cargo from point A to point B. And there are different types of charters. Mainly what we know and mainly what we use is time charters, bareboat charters, and voyage charters. Charter party as such is another term which is commonly used in shipping, and it's basically is the contract. So it's the legal contract which is binding between the owner and the charterer, and a contract for the hire or lease of a vessel made between the vessel owner and the charterer. A vessel can be rented in full or in part, either for specific voyages. So if it's just for a specific voyage, it's basically called as a voyage charter. Or if it is hired for a definitive period of time, it's called as a time charter. The vessel owner retains the possession and the control of the ship, and the charterer can specify the destination port to which the charterer wants its cargo to be delivered. So it's basically that kind of agreement, what we just said, between what is an owner and the charter. And the important elements are in the charter party, the description of the ship, the description of the trade, description of the time period, and all the clauses, whatever you can imagine as part of any contractual agreement, which is between an owner and a charter. So now comes the ship manager. I mean, I am part of a company which is a ship manager, Bernard Schulte Ship Management. And we basically look at the day-to-day operation of the vessel. So what is the role of a ship manager? The role of the ship manager is to ensure that the ship can responsibly and profitably carry out the duties specified by its owner. This means that I will ensure the safety and security of the ship. So the ship is basically carrying cargo from one port to another port. So the ship manager is responsible for the day-to-day operations, also for carrying the crew and the cargo safely from one port to another port. So if you see in the list, basically registering, documenting the ship, ensuring that the crewing, victualling, stores, spare parts, maintenance, repairs are all done. This is all part of ship management. You have to manage the ship properly. The crew is also supplied by the ship manager. So we have something which is called as crew management and technical management. When you have everything as a manager, it's called as technical management. When if you only supply crew to the vessel, it's called as a crew manager. So we are having crew management of almost 200 vessels in BSM. So that means in these vessels, we only supply the crew on board. We are not responsible for any other things which are part of the ship management. But for the others, we normally call that as full technical management of a ship, which is all this: arranging the insurance, appointing the surveyors, ensuring the safety of the crew, engineering systems, ensuring the ship follows the time schedule, and a variety of other tasks designed to keep the ships running smoothly. So I hope you understood the difference basically between a ship owner, a ship manager, and a charterer. And ship broker, as I was suggesting, saying that it's basically a negotiator between the owners and the charterers who use the ship. So charterer is always looking for his cargo to be moved from one port to another. So there are a lot of ships available. So maybe one ship is in Rotterdam and he wants his cargo to go from Rotterdam to China. So at that point of time, which is that ship available? So it's basically a contractual agreement that needs to be done. But connecting the charterer and the owner of the vessel is also what the ship brokers. So they have a good network that they have between owners and charterers. So connecting both these people, ensuring that the trade happens and the business happens. So very important entity in shipping. This is basically some statistics that I've got from Equasis, is total number of ships by size. So small, very large, medium size. You can imagine that small and medium range of vessels are the maximum in the fleet. I'll come to the statistics, what we call as a DWT. This already, I think, as naval architecture students, you are already aware of this. And some of the statistics also that we know, that who has the world's largest fleet in 2023. So these are the flags of convenience, as we call it. So which country the vessel is registered. So you have Liberia, Panama, Marshall Islands, China, the most registered, let's say, countries for the ships is what you see on the left. And where are the ships built? So basically you have shipyards where ships are built. So mostly if you see China, Korea are countries, Japan are countries where you have the maximum number of ships being built, and registered is the one that we already saw on the left. So due to various factors, good quality of shipbuilding, let's say a little more cheaper options for the owners. So that's how we see that most of the ships are built in the shipyards in Japan, in China, and in Korea. There's also information about the vessel scrapping, mostly where Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh are kind of the favorite ones where the ships are kind of scrapped. There are regulations for proper, scrapping of ships also, which is there, I think, about the purview of this meeting. Now, emissions by the mode of transport. So here it is the most relevant thing as of now, that you know that you have emissions. So you are emitting CO2 into the atmosphere. So we hear that mostly on the land, but now all these targets are also now into shipping. So in the sense that shipping has regulated and made rules and regulations to ensure that ships emit the minimum CO2. Whatever can be controlled has to be controlled. So when we talk about CO2 is what we talk about the word which is very commonly used, which is decarbonization now. Very, very popular word now in shipping. So when we say decarbonization means is to reduce carbon, and what we call as reducing the carbon footprint. So how do you reduce carbon? So you reduce carbon by reducing the fuel consumption, because fuel is one source of energy that is used everywhere. So generally we have various fuels that the fuel the ship, but generally you can say that for every ton of fuel that is burned, you emit 3 tons of CO2 into the atmosphere. So the more you burn fuel, the more CO2 goes into the atmosphere, and then we can say that we have to reduce that. So accordingly, targets are set by the IMO, or the International Maritime Organization, which is the central body globally which is controlling or making the rules and regulations for shipping. Almost like most of the countries obey this on a international scale. So the important part which I'm trying to say is that now shipping also is under the purview of decarbonization. The rules have already come. It started in 2018, where data from the vessels are collected. And now from 2023, you have important terms like the CII, EEXI, and also now EU ETS, which we are all involved in to reduce the carbon footprint. EU ETS is specifically for the EU regions. It will start now. It is in scope from 1st of January 2024. And CII has already started in 2023. But it's two technical words. But please do understand now that shipping also is under the purview. So when you look at comparatively to road, rail, and air transport, the amount of emissions from shipping is minimal. We say that it is contributing 3% of the total emissions. But generally in shipping, whenever these targets are done, although at the start we think that it is ambitious, but still we have targets which have been set for 2030, 2035, 40, 45, 50, like that. So in stages, so much percentage of the emissions that we set as a baseline. So these things are happening in shipping. If we see that most ship owning countries have seen a rise in the emissions, and shipping emissions are headed also in kind of the wrong direction. So these two slides basically just to give you that in the last few decades, the emissions in shipping also have increased. So the international community and the IMO understanding that there needs to be some control over this. All these regulations have now been passed, and starting, as I said, from 2023, 2024, these decarbonization rules and regulations are taking shape. I'll come to the company as such. So BSM is the company that I work for. As I was saying, it is Bernard Schulte Ship Management, but we are part of a broader group which is called the Schulte Group. So it's got a ship owning, ship management, and all maritime services. So various companies, but the major entities are the ship owning company that we call as Bernard Schulte. We have almost 90 plus owned vessels, and then we have the ship management wing, which is called as BSM, which is Bernard Schulte Ship Management. The other maritime services, important thing is Marriapps. Marriapps also has global offices and is our software company, which is providing software solutions, ERP solutions to a lot of other clients apart from BSM being the major client. Other, let's say, entities in shipping like Schulte Marine Concept, Sea Chef, these are all various companies looking at the various, applications in shipping. Like, for example, BSM Cruise Services is basically for the cruise industry. ProNav is basically a company which has got LNG vessels. We have Waypoint Port Services, basically like a port agency service. So a lot of companies part of the Schulte Group. And it's basically a family-owned company in Germany, in Hamburg. And the other companies are part of that. What are we having? The ship management expertise is crew management, over 20,000 seafarers on board, supported by 2,000 shore-based personnel, 26 crew service center. We also have a crew service center here in the same building, in the same floor. We are on the 6th floor. We also have the plant maintenance system team. We also have a maritime training center operating here in the same building. But the rest of the floors are the Marriapps, or where all the software developers, programmers sit for the software solution. Technical management, safe, efficient, and fully compliant vessel operation. Arguably, we are among the top 5 leading ship managers in the world. We also commercially manage vessels, in the sense that our own vessels we commercially manage. So that means we own and operate those vessels basically for the charter. So that's what we call as commercial management, just the way we talked about technical management. So crew management, technical management, commercial management, these are the expertise that we have in BSM. Just to look at the different kinds of vessels. So in BSM, because we manage ships for a lot of owners, we have the expertise of managing various types of ships. So from tankers to gas carriers, bulk carriers, container vessels, offshore vessels, cruise vessels, other vessels also, pure carrier, ro-ro, container, all vessels we are managing. Now it's almost close to 420 vessels that we manage, fully technically manage, and over 200 vessels for full crew management. Some facts and figures. We work with more than 120 blue chip companies. We have oil major approvals from some of the world's biggest producers. Our seafarer retention rate is over 90%, and also a great record in safety as well. So this is what it is in a nutshell for some facts and figures. Now I'll come to what we call as digitalization. So before we understand digitalization, it's important to understand what is digitization. So as you know that there is analog and digital systems available. So generally shipping has been working with the traditional meters that you find on board the vessel. So once you make that a digital system, that's what we call as digitization. But when you transmit that data over cloud or any source through the shore, that's basically what we call as digitalization. In the sense that data from the vessels come to shore seamlessly, either through cloud or sending of mail packets, as we call it, whatever you name it. Basically, digitalization is the let's say the new trending thing in shipping industry, apart from the decarbonization that I was just saying. So automation is one part. What is the advantage of doing all this? So we reduce basically the manual input of the vessel. So obviously, when you have officers on board the vessel, there would be some reporting error. So one is to automate that data which is on board the vessel coming here, but the second thing is also to digitalize it. So we get the data from the vessels, but we have our own dashboards and tools. We run the analytics so that we infer the data. So the idea of digitalization is first to reduce the human factor of error, but at the same time is to give good analytics so that decision making process is much simpler. So why this data is needed? The data is needed because with this data, it helps you make the decisions, the right decisions, in a very timely manner, and then it's very easy, seamless process. So that the data comes from the ship, shore, and by the time it can be, it's very easy to analyze and make a decision. So this is what we do here. We generally term this as telemetry. Telemetry in the sense that auto logging or auto sensor data. You have sensors on board. They capture the data and automatically transmit that data ashore. So this we already have for all our owned vessels. We have dashboards running in. All the data that's there from the vessels are automatically transmitted. Every half an hour it comes here. So we correctly get a full understanding of what the data the ship is transmitting, and what are the trends, so we generate our own KPIs. So it's very easy to evaluate. So there's whatever decision we make, whatever inference is made is with good data quality, and so the chances of error is minimal. So this is what we have. What you see on the slides are real pictures of our fleet performance centers, these big screens that we have in the Marriott's building. What we do here is we monitor the ships. We also do voyage optimization. And we also have our own KPIs looking at the various performance aspects, like, for example, the fuel consumption on board, what the vessel power it's reporting, because we have a system by which we create a digital twin of every vessel. So every vessel is modeled, as we call it, because we get all the documents from the vessel, like, for example, the sea trial data, the shop trial data, and then we model the vessel. So you have a digital model. And then with the operational data, we basically look at the delta or the deviation from the ideal condition, which is the sea trial data, the shop test data. We are also now into operational modeling of vessels, because some old vessels, we don't get all the data, all the documents. So because we have the data for all these vessels for the last 5-6 years, we can kind of look at good operational modeling. For this, the data quality needs to be very, very, very clean, in the sense that you must have proper data. When you say about data quality, it means that you should not have data which is kind of with a lot of errors, and most of, when we have our own filtering process, so clean data is also needed. Otherwise the inference goes wrong. So what FPC does is, we are looking at energy efficiency, because fuel optimization is there, decarbonization is there. We try to reduce overconsumption. And the second thing is the operational risk mitigation. So in the sense that we are developing our dashboards to support our fleet teams' navigational safety, because we have weather and position data of all the vessels. So now the next step, what we are going to do is the electronic nautical charts we would embed in our systems to help the vessels in navigational safety. This is the next step for our system. And then voyage optimization. So from the time a vessel starts a voyage till it ends the voyage, for all the vessels where we have proper AIS data and where the owners have subscribed to our services, we do the voyage optimization, in the sense that a proper route optimization of the vessels, and also looking at the weather conditions to suggest the proper route. So when you suggest the proper route, the consumption of the vessel reduces, because you're taking the most optimal route. But the more you go into severe weather storms, you know that you have more fuel consumption, and also as a safety problem for the vessel. So in a gist, this is kind of a structure that we have. We look at the vessel performance and drive decarbonization. So if you see in this chart, this DSM fleet teams, these are our business units. These are our SMCs, as we call it, ship management centers. We have almost 8 ship management centers around the globe, 3 in Europe, 1 in India, and 3 in the Far East. So with all these business units having a lot of vessels, they have their own fleets. For them, we have a fleet manager, the technical superintendents looking at the vessels. For each fleet, we liaise with the fleet teams to ensure that the data that's coming in from the vessels and the inference that we have for performance is being discussed with them. So they, the technical teams basically look at the day-to-day operations. So we support them. Every month we have a meeting with every fleet and tell them which are the vessels which are doing good in terms of fuel optimization, and which are the vessels which are over consuming. Maybe it might be an over consumption on the main engine or the generators, or maybe it's got a fouled hull which needs to be cleaned in the next port. So we have our KPI. So whenever we know that that over consumption is happening, we generate these reports and send to them so that the hull can be cleaned, or let's say there is some maintenance issue, and that means the maintenance should be done on the main engine or the generator because it's consuming fuel more than the normal consumption it should have. So this is basically what we do. And as I was telling you, the MariApps is our software, and SmartPal is the name of the software. So MariApps is the company, sorry, and SmartPal is the software. So through this, we have these analytics softwares and dashboards, and with them, we both have these systems installed, both shore side and the vessel side. So we advise the crew on operational measures. We have also these dashboards mimicked in the systems on board the vessel. So whenever we are sending some data, the same dashboards can be seen. The variations can be seen by the vessels. Where they have good internet connectivity, we have more robust dashboards. And we also have alert functions. Whenever there is a deviation in the KPI, it goes as an alert to the TSI as well as the master and chief engineer on board. So this is what we do. We also directly liaise with the vessel crew. So we also have normal crew meetings and also training for the crew, which is needed for reporting quality. So snapshot I've taken the various dashboards that you can see in PAL. So these dashboards cater to all this: voyage optimization, hull and propeller performance, voyage execution, charter party monitoring, engine performance, fleet benchmarking, all this. We also ensure proper fuel as well as cylinder lube oil consumption. So we get in the data of the lube oil that the vessels are reporting. We also see the power. So as you know, the specific lube oil consumption is how much of lube oil is consumed per the unit of power, which is the gram per kilowatt hour. So we see how much the vessels are reporting, at the same time how much is the lube oil being consumed, and we calculate and see how much is the deviation. So we have performance superintendents, as we call it. The performance superintendents for each business unit sits here in the same office, and basically we track all these aspects, especially this cylinder lube oil consumption. Also, wherever there is a deviation, we tell them to reduce the cylinder lube oil. But basically, looking at the condition of the engine is what we liaise with the fleet teams. CII and EU ETS, very new in shipping, but we are also part of that. We generate CII reports. We are also part of the EU ETS, or what we call as the European Union emission trading systems. So here it's too complex now, but it's coming already in 2024. It is to basically reduce the emissions, but at the same time, for each ton of CO2, there is a price being tagged, what we call as EUAs. But anyways, this is basically a snapshot of the various dashboards that we have in PAL. SmartPal, as I was telling you, is the software. Our role within BSM is that we liaise with the owners, the charterers, with the fleet teams, and the vessel crew. These are the 4 important stakeholders for us for our day-to-day operation. As you know, we liaise with the owner because it's with the owner's vessels that the performance has to be evaluated. We also liaise with charterers because the owners sometimes loop us into meetings with charters because we handle the data. So the vessel's master, he reports not only to us, but he normally reports to also the medium for the charter. So sometimes what happens is that there is a deviation in this report, especially when you talk in terms of emission trading systems and CI calculation. This data is now being shared between the owner and the charter, and that's how we liaise with charters to ensure that the collaboration or regulatory compliance is achieved. Fleet teams, as I was telling you, they are the people who look at the vessels on a day-to-day basis, and so fuel optimization and digitalization are part of that. With vessel crew, as I was saying, training aspects, important is the performance improvement. So we also have guidance, meetings, trainings. In BSM, we also have a course which is called as a Vessel Performance and Decarbonization course, where it's a 2-day course, where all the senior staff come and we tell them what is decarbonization, what are the new trends in shipping, the way that we are just discussing it. These important trends, reporting, quality, everything are being achieved, because unless until there is any change from the vessel, it's the data from the vessel which helps us in running these numbers and are the official numbers for the vessel. So it's very important that they understand. Any questions? Okay, I believe everyone knows mostly. Digitalization, I mean, when we talk about digitalization, we covered it, but what are the 4 key pillars of digitalization? So one is that whatever basic things are being done in the shipping industry, we need to digitalize it because we need to know in a very, let's say, robust, but at the same time simple manner what is happening on board. So important functions in ship management business like maintenance, procurement, crewing, they should be able to do their work efficiently. How we just cannot have the normal paperwork or the Excel sheets. We must understand what are the trends happening in terms of maintenance of a machinery. What is it that is needed in procurement? So in the sense that which is the nearest port, where can we have the most economy in terms of buying spares? How can we connect the important spares to the nearest port? When is the ship correctly arriving? So if I get a very much detailed information on the precise time when the ship is arriving, when I'm connecting all this, it saves a lot of cost. So if you ask me, the importance of digitalization is also that it gets the correct inference to us, but at the same time, it's very economical if it's done in a very efficient manner. And then for crewing also, I mean, that when seafarers go on board the vessel, sometimes there is a delay which causes more crewing costs, for joining cost, and embarkation and disembarkation expenses. So if you have that also done digitally, it helps in a lot of cost saving. Then live fleet, extending the digitalization to customers in this, what this means is that we have a module which is called as a live fleet. This means that the owner can log in to this module and he can see the vessel live, track all the consumption. So he does not have to rely on the manager to give him the reports. He can also directly go and log in and see the daily consumptions, the daily parameters, what the vessels are reporting. Our analysis and also our dashboards are available live to him. So one of the other important aspects of digitalization. Also important, as you know, is this AI and machine learning, which is coming very much I mean, a hot topic, let's say, or all over the world, where people fear that they might lose their jobs. But I think it's more effective because it's even better than the human brain, arguably. But it gives you a good analysis, and it basically gives you a what we call as prescriptive analysis of things which will happen in future. So the point here I'm trying to make is This will also come in shipping. The only difference here is that we're trying to do AI and machine learning. It's just that we must get good amount of data, robust data for an extensive period of time to run the models. We are doing some exercises. We've not been able to make big inferences, but the process is still going on. And the final pillar is also a digital culture, in the sense that this attitude shift should be there, that everything should be in terms of digitalization aspects. So as I was saying, we have 80 vessels where we get the digital data from the vessel on board and coming to the shore. But the problem is that it's only for 80 vessels. The rest of the owners have not invested in all this. So that shift in attitude is also what is needed. The owner needs to understand that human intervention always causes errors, and this causes the the delay in making good decisions for that vessel. So slowly the mindset is changing. The owners are investing in digitalization, but I'm sure that in the next 5 to 6 years we will have a big difference in these aspects. In this, what we do here is that we are assisting clients in achieving their decarbonization objectives, comprehensive enhancement of the vessel operations, better voyage and environmental performance, and then energy efficiency and sustainability, as we call it. So when we have everything digitally done, it decreases the operating expenses, as I was telling you. Then manual reporting is also reduced to a bigger extent, and the performance related claims also reduced, because the basic work, mundane tasks that been done changes everything into digital, and so with less time and less money, more efficient work can be achieved. So we are doing all that in this FPC, or the Fleet Performance Center. So some of the services that we do. So when we say voyage optimization, is that we monitor the voyage. That means from the planning stage, we get the route plans from the vessels. Then we superimpose on our dashboards. We generate routes, send it back to the master. Final decision is made by him, obviously. And if he abides, then obviously he goes for the better route. He normally follows the routes for all the vessels that are subscribed to our services, but generally master follows what the charter tells him. But we always have a backup system in place, so that whatever is given by the charter's medium, we cross-check that in our system to see whether there are major deviations, and ask the master to evaluate. And if he also agrees to that, then obviously the better route is done. Once the full voyage is completed, we make a full voyage, post-voyage analysis on the total fuel consumption, the correct route that is taken, the speed, everything is analyzed. And if a proper route is recommended rather than the one that the master selected, how much we have saved in terms of fuel is also showed in that report. In terms of telemetry, as I was saying, digitalization, we have a vendor selection, in the sense that for the owner, we connect the vendors to them. We install these digitalization equipments on board and ensure that the data is actually coming properly. So we ensure that installation, commissioning, data loggers, where they take the data and then transmit ashore, everything is done through that process. And then if you want to digitalize a ship, the whole process is undertaken by us, but by supporting the owners through the technical teams. So kind of a repetition of what I said, but why telemetry? Please understand that it's basically digitalization or auto sensor data. That means you have sensors on board which transmit the data here. So why do we need it? Because automation and digitalization is the future, and new regulations necessitate the transparent sharing of data to owners and managers. So the data transparency, integrity, or let's say data quality, is very much important in shipping today. And so that is why we say to all ship owners to digitalize. And then improved accurate data quality from sensors, high frequency data logging is also possible. So we get data. I mean, systems have been so advanced that you get data every second in the form of graphs, and you can see minute changes, the trends also. But it's kind of costly. But obviously, you can be sure that you are making the right decisions for the ship. So this is what we always advocate, why telemetry should be there on board the vessels. Some of the digital innovations that we already have in our systems are Seafarer Portal, BSM Pay powered by Ship Money Document Management System, Yearbook. So these are some of the tools which are already available, let's say, as apps in the mobile itself. So Seafarer Portal is as an example, Seafarer Portal is an app that the seafarer, when he goes on board, all his documents, his plan of the vessel, the next port he's signing off, if he wants to find out any company documents, everything is available in that one. So some guidance, whatever. Earlier, he had to go through a lot of physical documents. He might not have something. So all his personal documents, everything is stored in that one app or so this is one of the advantages of digitalization. So you don't need to carry all these paper copies and things like that. So now, as you know, India is fully getting digital. Everywhere you have digital payments. So obviously the same thing applies here. We also have what we call as the ER books and e-logs. ER book is basically oil record book, which is maintained on board for recording oil transactions both in the engine room and on deck. We have that digitalized. So everything is now just typed in the computer, everything is made there, and then basically it's made official, and that's what we call as the ER book. So this writing and making mistakes, everything is out, and then you have everything properly digitalized. You also have now e-logs. That means the engine logbook and the deck logbook, which normally used to be written in the engine room and on the bridge, are now also getting digitalized. And so these are some of the examples to show you that how much digitalization is basically helping it, and now it's now a part of shipping as well. So some of the happenings which are in shipping as of now. So we are all part of that. We are very much advanced in all those respects. That's basically it from my side. I hope I have tried to cover most of the aspects of this topic, but open to any questions. I'll be happy to answer.
We will be having a Q&A session. So please feel free to ask questions and your doubts.
I hope that at least some of you have understood what I was saying, or maybe if it's been too complex or too simple, excuse me for that.
Sir,
Yes.
I'm Mohammed Sabi, and I
Yeah.
would like.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Sir, could you please explain how BSM will be engaging in the EU ETS thing in a brief manner?
Yeah. So we are doing the EU ETS for BSM in the sense that I am part of the EU ETS team. So in EU ETS, if you know the basics, every ton of CO2 has got a dollar value. And now almost it is trading like 90 euros. So 1 ton of CO2 is what we call as EUAs. BSM is heavily involved in EU ETS because as per the EU ETS norm, the ship owner is responsible for compliance of EU ETS. So ship owner has to basically submit the EUAs. EUAs means European Union allowance. 1 EUA is 1 ton of CO2. So how much ever their ships have emitted, that much amount of allowances they are supposed to submit in the EU registered authority state or member state of EU in the subsequent year. It starts from 2024, and by 30th of September 2025, you are supposed to submit those many allowances in the EU registry. So this means that the compliance, although at the beginning it was with the manager, now presently it is with the owner. So what is it has to do with us as managers is we take that responsibility on behalf of the owners, just the way that we manage the vessels for the owners. There is if you know, there are two important agreements. One is an agreement which is between a manager and the owner, what we call as a shipman or the ship management agreement. There is another agreement which I said, which is charter party, between the owner and the charter. So the EU ETS basically says that the polluter has to pay. So whoever does the pollution has to pay for those many fuel that he is emitted or carbon is emitted. So we do the EU ETS clause now with most of our owners. So what we do is that on behalf of the owner, we do all the EU ETS part. In the sense, anyway, we are having the data. We verify the data through the classification society. DNV is our long-standing partner for getting that data. We get the data verified, so we correctly know what is the official EUAs or the amount of CO2 emitted. Once it is emitted, we invoice it so that whoever has to pay. So normally it is a charterer who needs to pay because he is paying for the fuel. So we have to collect that many allowances, that whether he is paid that many allowances, and then ensure that we have accounted it, invoiced it. We collect so much for the owner, and at the end of the year, this needs to be submitted in the accounts of the registries in EU. So it's a long, a very complex process, but we are having systems in place. We have our dashboards which we are building for EU ETS. We do the invoicing of allowances, the trading accounts we already have. For BSM and Bernard Schulte, we already have opened accounts in Cyprus and Hamburg offices, and we do that for all our owners. And there is something which is called as a compliance account. It is through this compliance account that you have to transfer these EUAs. So the regulations will come fully by February on how to operate those accounts. But generally, the owner is responsible. But as managers, we manage the whole thing for the owner. I hope you understood what I meant, at least.
Yes, sir, very clear. So one more thing. So like the classes like DNV will be verifying the annual efficiency rating parameter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they will be verifying. So what we do is that the vessels report in our software, as I was saying, which is SmartPal, and this data, all this data on a daily basis, we push to DNV's emissions data veracity platform, which is also a digital platform. So through an API interface, this data is pushed. They correct the data. Once they correct the data, then we correctly know how much of emissions is there, which is what we call as verified data. They have verified it and made sure that there are no data quality issues. And then that verified data is what we generally term as the EUAs. So, verified data is very much important for EU ETS process.
So one more thing, that are banks involved in this, like post-done for signatory, that kind of thing?
Yes, because some of the banks also do the trading part. So we need to understand why so many entities are involved in the EU ETS. So it's what in economics we learn as let's say the externalities in the sense that you are polluting the atmosphere, but how are you kind of compensating that to the environment, and basically how are you responsible for the emission. So I pollute, but at the same time I also make sure that I am polluting less, but at the same time all the stakeholders have a win-win situation. So that is why when let's say there are two companies, and this is what we call as a cap and trade principle. You cap, and you have a capping over the emissions that you can make. So let's say you are permitted to emit only 10,000 tons of CO2, and there are two companies, company A and company B. So you are permitted only 10,000. One company emits 9,000, and another company emits 11,000. So the company which is emitting less, which is 9,000, has more advantage than the one that is emitting more, because the other company which is emitted 11,000 has to buy 1,000 tons of CO2 more from the company that is emitted less. So it's a financial loss to the second company, but it's a gain financially to the first company. So that means I have tried my best to reduce my emissions, so I am get a gain, because that many EUAs I can trade, I can hedge, just the way that you do in stock market. So that's where the trading aspect comes. So banks are involved in this because they also do this trading, and they also act as mediators for opening trading accounts for the entities in shipping. So that's how banks are involved. We are having discussions with some of the banks and some of the traders also, to ensure that obviously this is a big financial exposure. So you must have what we call as escrow accounts, in the sense that it's like a multi stakeholder holding account. So in order to reduce the risk, everybody is in that account. Apart from the knowledge of the main entity, nobody is able to transact anything. So both of them are. Me and you, we both hold the one common account, and we operate it, and I cannot transfer the funds without your knowledge, and neither can you. So I'm just saying that these are some of the important things which are happening in the EVTs as of now, and so banks are involved.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Am I
Hi,
on?
hello. Yes, you are.
Yeah, so I'm Harideep from second year, Department of Technology. So, sir, I wanted to know what challenges you would have faced with carriers.
When you say carriers, in the sense,
Like, the containers carriers.
yeah, I mean, if you're talking about technical challenges, obviously every vessel, not only container, every vessel has their own challenges. In the sense that especially containers are on time charter. They have to go from one port to another port. They have to reach on time, because the next employment for the next 5-6 months is already there. So a delay in reaching a port always is a challenge. You have some machinery issues, so it's all pressure situations. Technically, you have to keep the ship in a safe and very efficient condition. So generally in shipping, you always have to be on the front foot and basically be proactive to ensure that the ship is run well. But in terms of performance, see, there's a difference at what we do in the performance department and what technical teams do. Technical teams look at the day-to-day operation, ensure that the machineries are kept good running and things like that. What in our performance departments do, we ensure that it's run in the most optimum manner, fuel consumption, emissions, and things like that. So if you ask me, challenges that we have faced is, yes, sometimes because of bad data. Like, for example, we had one vessel where reports were coming in. It was not a digitalized vessel. So we did not have any sensor data coming in. It was the reports that were sent by the vessel. And so it was showing that all our KPIs are in a very bad condition. Big fuel oil consumption, the power and all is very high and things like that. So our KPIs showed that, okay, it shows that the ship is consuming more, and the hull is also in a very bad shape, and so this hull needs cleaning in the next port. So these were some of the challenges we faced initially when we were building these dashboards. So we recommended for a hull cleaning basis the data that came in from the vessel. But actually, when we cleaned the hull, we did not find any problem. Later, we found out that it was a reporting issue from the vessel that was causing the issue. And chief engineer had some bunker too much with him, and so he was basically adding more consumption in his daily report. So we were thinking that it was too much consumption happening, and also power reporting issues. So data quality, that is why I'm saying it's very important. And so sometimes you go there, you think that the hull needs to be clean, but actually it really does not happen. So these challenges are always there. The other challenge I would say is also that, because as I was just mentioning, these are things which are now happening in shipping. This digitalization, decarbonization, all these terms. So the seafarer or the people who work on board the vessel are not that much exposed the way that we are on a shore level. So that one challenge is there. So whenever we tell them report like this, there's normally a big resistance. Why we are being asked a lot of questions? Because obviously they have their own duties on board the vessels on a day-to-day basis. So when they ask for, when we ask for more reports, things like that, they also get frustrated. So getting the vessel staff up to speed with these new changes and regulations in shipping is also a big challenge that we counter. Plus the owners, I was saying, we only have, like, let's say 30% of our fleet which is digitalized. You've seen what are the advantages of digitalization, but most of the ship owners have still not realized it. So to convince the ship owner to invest in these technologies is also another challenge that we face.
Sir, you spoke about ship owners. Is there any roadblock like when prevents them from digitalizing their ships?
Yeah, the biggest roadblock is that it's a high investment. So let's say that if I want to digitalize one medium tanker vessel, it will cost between $40,000 to $60,000 for that full digitalization package. So if he wants that to be done, he is looking at that I'm going to invest $50,000. How I'm going to get that money back? So we always say that money is not only in terms of getting back the dollar, but it's also in terms of value. So as you know, investing in digitalization does not give you back the money, but it gives you data accuracy, which is very, very important for actually analyzing the vessel as well as conforming to the data that you are sending to the charterers. So it gives a proper evaluation of the vessel. This is what the owners miss. So because that's the biggest challenge. They think is only in terms of ROI. ROI is good. Any business you look at ROI, but in digitalization it will give you the ROI, but the problem is that it will take time. But more than the ROI, the important fact is that are you able to understand the vessel correctly? You can only understand the vessel correctly if you have digitalized data. Then you have better evaluation of the ship. Whatever you infer will be correct. And also it's good for the reputation in the sense that some of the big charters have their own digitalized system. So if you don't have that kind of advancement, then you are left behind. The charters or the cargo owners, they will look for other ship owners. So it will eventually happen. So earlier the ship owners realize it would be good. So to answer your question straight, it is basically money which prevents them.
Also, sir, about the vessel staff, how like is that a problem with them? Like how much is
Yeah,
it difficult?
it's difficult in the sense that any convincing act is difficult, if you ask me. The vessel staff on a daily basis, they have their own routines that they have to do. I mean, the daily maintenance, they have to do the record keeping, their day-to-day activities they are doing. And suddenly, because of these changes which are commercially happening in shipping, you suddenly tell them, okay, now you have to report like this, like that. Now you have to learn about decarbonization. Now you have to learn about new technologies. It basically creates a turbulence. I mean, in the sense that you've been doing your duty correctly, and now somebody is coming and giving you an advice that, okay, this is not the way to do it because this has other implications, things like that. So it's very easy for people like me sitting ashore and saying that, these are needed because we understand on a broader level. But to make that in the same understanding to be given to the masters and chief engineers on board is a time-taking effort. So that's one challenge. It's because so many things have changed in the last 5 to 10 years in shipping, decarbonization, digitalization, CII, EXI, so many things. It's too overwhelming already for us. So you can imagine how much it would be if we kind of push all this to the vessel staff also. So that's one challenge that we have. They are slowly understanding, but with a pinch of salt, let's say.
Sir.
So we are concluding the Q&A sessions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions? Any other questions? Now, before winding up, we would like to present a certificate of gratitude to Mr. Anil Jacob for honoring this event and delivering a wonderful talk.
Thank you so much. I presume you are Abdurrahman. Abdurrahman had sent me the mail. Thank you for that. And it's a great opportunity. I mean, I also welcome you to just send me a mail whenever you want to have a visit to our Fleet Performance Center. More than happy to show you around. It will be good because Mohammed Sabi has already been here, so he correctly knows. But always open to have you all here. One day we can give you a round on what we do, and you can also understand on a practical basis what we actually do in terms of managing ships and what FPC is, rather than these slides being presented to you. Thank you.
Now, I request everyone to have a look at the chat box and please fill up the feedback form provided there.
Yeah.
I hope all have enjoyed the webinar. On behalf of SNAS, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Mr. Anil Jacob, sir, for taking time from his valuable schedule and making this a very informative webinar on such interesting topic. My sincere gratitude to all members of Dostas for the exceptional commitment towards the department. On this occasion, I would like to thank Dr. Sadish Babu PK, HOD, for being a constant inspiration and for being with us in all activities conducted by SNAS. Last but not least, I would like to thank every faculties and students who put a sincere effort to attend the webinar and make this event a grand success. And always feel free to contact us for the feedbacks. It is highly appreciated. Our webinar is concluded. Thank you.
Thank you so much and all the best. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.